Welcome to Overcoming Marital Conflict. It's part 3 of a 3-part series. So, what stood out to you in part 1? Unlocking marital harmony. And was there a light bulb moment in part 2? Improving marital communication. It was just last week. All right, so today I'm going to show you how your life experiences and personality develop into how you see and experience the world. These two concepts predict whether you expect love, unity, and prosperity, or whether you believe conflict, division, and hopelessness are the norm. Your past and your personalities determine how you see the world. And guess what? They determine how you expect your spouse to see the world. In fact, we assume our spouse wants the same things that we do. Have you found that to be true? Well, conflict happens when we make assumptions and when we expect them to do things the same way that we do them. Conflict happens when we assume they want the same things that we want and that they know what we're thinking. All right, so one day I was delivering some product to a customer. I was a sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics for 21 years. I won like 7 diamond rings and several cars. It was a great, awesome time. But I was in the company for 30 years. So this is how I kept my customers, by giving great customer service. So on this day, I'm taking a Mary Kay order to my client. I drive up their driveway, and as I drive up through the trees, there were flowers everywhere, rows and rows of flowers, roses blooming, bushes blooming. It was so pretty. So whenever I got up to the door, I said to my client, "Oh my gosh, your yard is so pretty." Well, did they say, "Oh my gosh, thank you"? No. They said, "Oh my goodness, we need to mow our grass. We haven't trimmed our bushes. Our yard is a mess." Well, I saw everything that was great about their yard, but they saw what they needed to get done. They saw what was not done. They saw what was not beautiful to them, right? And this is one of those personality things. Some people see everything that is beautiful or how it can be, while others see things that aren't done. They see the bad part of things, they see the lack of. May I say, when we focus on what is good and beautiful instead of the lack of, you know, relationships go a lot better. Now, in this picture, I want you to tell me whether you see a young woman or if you see an old woman. Whichever one you see, it'll really be hard to see the other. So once we get something in our head, we're kind of stuck with it and we can't see the other side. And this is one of the things that causes conflict in our marriage and in many of our relationships, because there's not only one way to see things. There's always more than one way to do things. And when we think that our way is the only way, we're in trouble. Or you might be married to somebody who thinks their way is the only way. Well, did you see the young woman or did you see the old woman? Well, let me show you, because when I first saw this, it drove me crazy. I was thinking, oh, I see the young woman. I could not see the old woman. And it just bugged me that I could not see it. So let me show you. First of all, if you see the young woman, this is her hair. This is her face. There's her little nose and her eyelashes. There's her chin and her ear. This is a feather. This is a big scarf she has on. And this is her choker on her neck. There's her little neck and her choker. And this goes down kind of a V-neck and a jacket. That's the young woman. Now, the old woman is this right here is her scarf. Here's her dark curly hair. And yes, that's a feather that's on her scarf. But in the old woman, this is her nose. Are you looking at that? This is her nose. Hopefully you can see my cursor. And this is her eye. This is her mouth. And this is her chin. So hair, nose, mouth, and chin. She too has a feathery black jacket on. Can you see how your perspective colors how you see the world? And sometimes we need a little help in bringing that together when it comes to our spouse. I want you to imagine your spouse listening to what you say. I want you to imagine your spouse responding to you with a smile. You might be married to that person who has a poker face that we talked about in the previous video. And you think, do they hear me? Do they love me? Do they care? Imagine your spouse responding to you with a smile. Imagine your spouse sharing ideas and desires as you sit and have dinner together. You can learn how to read your spouse. Can you imagine that? Being able to tell how to read your spouse? When you can do this, you can avoid those emotional triggers. I can help you learn how to avoid those emotional triggers. And you understand it's not always about you, even. Ultimately, you can learn to meet them in the middle. Start to understand their side just a little bit and see the world as they do. Now, how would you like to bring your hearts together? Let me tell you, communication and money are the top two divorce accelerators. And when you're communicating with your spouse the way they want you to communicate with them, you're going to enjoy more freedom, confidence, and romance in your marriage. I'm Connie. I have the communication secrets that you need in my community, The Extraordinary Marriage. If you have questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. You can find me at Connie@theextraordinarymarriage.com. Email me, Connie@theextraordinarymarriage.com. At The Extraordinary Marriage, you will find more blogs like this, and you'll also find what I have going on free. You may even find 3 mistakes that couples make that push their spouse away. Nobody wants to do that, right? But if we don't know we're doing it, we can't stop doing it. I hope you'll join me on this webinar. Either you're going to find it coming up live, or you might find it where you can just click and watch. I'm Connie Durham. Thanks for watching.